Master Zone episode number 6, right, Carlos? 6 today? 6? All right, today I am with a very good friend of mine. He spent the last, I think, year coming here, right, to Keozon?
Almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years already?
Almost 2 years, yeah.
Fuck. Bueno, it's Coach Ryan Perez. Just to let you know, if you know how is the bare knuckle fights these days, right? Super popular, BKFC. If you go back on YouTube and you look for the first, I think bare knuckle number 8, 9, you will see this guy in the corner all the time, coaching athletes, great boxers, badass fighters. Okay, because it's not the same being a boxer than being a badass fighter. It's different, right?
It's not. It's totally different.
It's another one. How many fighters do you coach?
I manage 48 fighters, and I coach between 10 and 11 of them.
So you are one of the foundations of BKFC.
I've been told that, yes, that I'm one of the originals of bare knuckle. I was told I was crazy and don't do it, don't put fighters in bare knuckle. It was just something that I saw,
right,
and I thought it was a unique opportunity and something different to the fight game that hadn't been done.
Right.
And, you know, seeing how UFC exploded
right
overnight, I knew that this was probably the next lane.
And all this time I saw, like you say about UFC, in the beginning UFC was more brutal. You know, they don't have the same rule, regulation.
It was the
Everybody
wild, wild west.
No, it's crazy, it's this and that. But now UFC is the shit.
Right.
So I've seen the same thing with bare knuckle.
Correct.
In the beginning, say, oh no, look, these people is animal. There is no technique. There is no this. All the boxers, old school coaches.
Yeah.
No, this is brutal. There's no technique. Not the same. But now I'm seeing the transition of UFC fighters, great boxer going to bare knuckle.
Yeah. So in the beginning of bare knuckle, it was really hard to convince fighters to do it. So it was lower level fighters that started bare knuckle.
Right.
So it was a lot of B-siders, a lot of people that had bad records that started the sport, that developed the sport.
Sorry to interrupt you. This is something that I saw. Or fighters who never were able to do a career.
Yep.
Or people who is always reaching the end
Yep.
of their career, going to do the last shot in bare knuckle.
In the beginning.
But now changed.
Now it definitely changed. Now there's people debuting their careers in bare knuckle. Where people used to go there to die, now it's people starting their careers in bare knuckle. For example, I have a fighter named Jared Grant.
Right.
He was the former 135 BKFC world champion, and he never had a professional boxing match. He never had a professional MMA match. All his professional fights are under bare knuckle.
That's good. And let me ask you, because you are in both worlds, right?
Yeah.
The transition for MMA to bare knuckle or boxing to bare knuckle, what do you think? Who has more advantage?
More advantage, I would say the MMA people have more advantage than
The
boxing.
small glove, you think?
Not so much the small glove, just because they're used to seeing punches from different angles.
Right.
Where in boxing, it's very technique, very straight, forward punches, straight hooks. And in MMA, they do different stances. They switch from lefty to righty.
Right.
Different punches come from different angles. Where in boxing, it's very, traditional, lefty, righty, jab, hook. So it's I think the MMA fighter, and you can fight in the clinch. In bare knuckle,
Right.
you can fight in the clinch. Boxers don't fight in the clinch. We hold, we wait for the break. So I would say if someone had a bigger advantage to start with in bare knuckle, it would be the MMA fighter.
Question, tell me a little bit about your beginning.
I never wanted to be a coach, that's for sure.
We're in the same page.
I never wanted to be a coach. I was a DJ, and I worked on the radio for a long time. I have a son who's 17 now, but when he was little, I had him in karate class, and I was paying $200-something for karate. And when I walked in there, I saw that he wasn't learning anything, and I was just throwing away my money. So I took him to the local police athletic gym where he learned how to box. They didn't have a great boxing teacher, so I boxed when I was a kid. I had 33 fights. I was 32 and 1 as a fighter. And I told him, I was like, I'll teach you how to box. Good. So I started teaching my son how to box, and from that it developed to being a coach, coaching whole teams at national tournaments, to the chairman of Florida's Junior Olympics, a level 3 official and judge. I did everything in USA Boxing, and then I became a professional coach. It just developed more and more and more, and more fighters kept coming and coming and coming, and here we are. And I never wanted to be a coach. 100%, I never wanted to do this.
So you started on the PAL, right? The Police Athletic League.
Yeah, that's where I started. I started teaching at Pembroke Pines Police Athletic League, but they closed, I guess, for finance or whatever. Then I went over to Davy Powell. I was the coach at Davy Powell for 4 years. Then I went to Hollywood Powell. And then during Hollywood Powell, COVID happened and everything closed down. And I had a fighter named Bryce Henry, who I was in track to try to take to the Olympics. But all that, you know, COVID ruined everything. So I decided the fighters that I had a lot of experience, it was time to go pro. And I turned them all pro. And then I couldn't get a fight in boxing because nobody was doing shows. And then Bare Knuckle popped up and was the only person doing shows during COVID.
Right.
So I took Jared, who was the more bigger balls than all of them, and it was like, fuck it, I'll try. And I was, let's go to Bare Knuckle. And we jumped into Bare Knuckle with Jared. We didn't know what to expect. And the craziest thing was I might have coached 100 fights boxing in the corner 100 times. The first time I coached a Bare Knuckle, my ass was like this tight, my throat. I was like, oh shit, this is gonna get crazy. Because you don't know what to expect. You've never done it. You've never done it. And as a coach, teaching boxing, it was okay because I had been in a boxing match. I know what the fighter feels because I've felt that before. I've been in the ring. Where in Bare Knuckle, I was like, I don't even know. I don't know what to tell you. Know. And it's funny because the fighter, Jared, went in there confident because I was giving him confidence. But at the same time, I was like, this is a fucking bad idea.
But it's the same when you go to see your kids fighting.
Yeah, you got to believe in them.
You are more scared than them.
Right. And that's how I felt. I was like, man, I'm putting this kid into the wildest sport ever. And
you're responsible for him too.
Yeah, I felt responsible, and you know, it's the first. Thank God, the first 5 fights that he had in Bare Knuckle, he won them all. He knocked everybody out, so he was doing great. So I was like, oh, this is a great decision, great choice. And then on the 6th fight is where he started getting his first injuries, like cuts and stitches, and I was like, oh. So it's a very fine line of Bare Knuckle. There's a very fine line.
Yeah, because you live through them. You live through the. Yeah.
It's not. It's you know. It's to me now. At first, I was more about let's be the best. Let's win every fight. That's what I thought. But now, as I get older and I've been in the game a little bit, I'm like, it's not. At the end of the day, it's not really worth it. Like it's not. Like fighting for these kids could change their life, could fuck their face up forever. It's not like boxing. Yeah, you know, a lot of people die in boxing. A lot of people get hurt in MMA. But it's never like as much as like. You know.
2 weeks ago, I posted something about Jordan. You know, he fought Bare Knuckle. I think it was his debut in Bare Knuckle, but he's a Cuban, has like a 250 amateur fights and professional fights in boxing and all that stuff. So it's a Guajiro, it's a tough motherfucker. So 2 days later, he fought Thursday night. Saturday morning, he was training here with Kung Fu Yomi.
Yeah.
Helping him, you know, no, you're not doing Spanish, just moving, helping his friend. So people start talking like crazy. You are stupid. You are people who abuse the fighters. You use them to take money when everybody knows that I don't charge them shit.
Right.
I'm here. Okay.
100%. That's true. That's true. I will confirm.
The thing is, okay, you can have very bad injuries in Bare Knuckle, cuts and nasty shit. But boxing, constantly getting punched and hit in the head. It's not worse.
So long term, I think boxing is more damaging to the brain because it's the reason they gave you the gloves was so you wouldn't see the damage anymore.
Right.
Because remember, boxing developed from Bare Knuckle. So Bare Knuckle was first, and then the society didn't want to see the Bare Knuckle no more, so they put boxing gloves on. So what the boxing glove did was kept the damage internal.
Right.
Where the Bare Knuckle is superficial. You see it on your face, you see the cuts. But in boxing, you don't see that because it's inside their body. So I would definitely say boxing overall is definitely more dangerous because of the constant hitting. And again, like if you get a concussion in boxing, you still keep fighting with that concussion. So you can get concussed 4 or 5 times in a fight and nobody even knows. Where in Bare Knuckle, if you get a cut above your eye, they stop the fight.
Yeah, that's when they say the boxers say MMA is more brutal than boxing. Because no, people in MMA get injuries too,
Right.
but not the level, the brain damage than boxing. So
Right.
one thing that Joel Casamayor, SPSho, told me one day he was training with me, he told me, and I always have that in my head, punches get in, but don't get out.
Yeah.
You keep it inside.
Yeah.
So that's the history of the
And the
brain
thing with
damage.
and the thing with boxing too is I feel the heavier the fighters are, the more damage they're taking.
Right.
I feel like the 130s, 145, yeah, they hit each other a lot, but the longevity of their careers is longer than heavyweights. They don't come out as punchy as heavyweights.
Right.
I feel like once you get to the 175, 185, 195s, that's where the damage starts occurring. Because that's big people hitting each other, you know?
What is coming for you and your people? What's next?
A lot. I mean, I have, like, again, I manage a lot of fighters. I have 9 people fighting in Virginia. I have on the next Bare Knuckle card, and then in Colorado, I have 4 people fighting on the BKFC Colorado card. But you know, it's there's a lot of things we do with the different things. I do boxing, MMA, Bare Knuckle. I do a lot of different promotions. Since I manage so many fighters, I try to keep them active in sports. So if they don't have a Bare Knuckle fight, I'll put them in boxing. If they don't have a boxing fight, I'll put them in an MMA fight. So I try to keep them busy because, you know, Bare Knuckle isn't as big as people think. That you can have a whole career of just Bare Knuckle. You have to do everything.
Right. So, and the same thing that I was talking before. I have kids coming here. No, I want to do Bare Knuckle because I am a street fighter.
Yeah. No.
No.
No. You could be the street fighter, but you're gonna get beat up.
Right.
Every time. It doesn't matter. Being tough on the street doesn't translate to being good in a fight. It doesn't.
And I know we say to them because, you know, I work with the law enforcement. I teach self-defense, but in the real way, no the
Right.
the bullshit grab me. No, I teach how to, in some way, fuck people up. It's another war. It's not the same fighting in the ring, fighting in the arena with thousands of people watching you, fighting in the street.
Right.
There is no rules or anything. And usually in the street, it's not a fight.
No.
It's a confrontation.
Right. That lasts 10 seconds.
It's a confrontation. You have an argument, bam, bam, whatever, and that's it. A fight is when 2 people agree to fight, maybe with rule, with the judge or whatever. Okay. Fighters do the fighting, not regular people in the street. But bueno, that is another topic for another podcast, I think. Okay? Brian, thank you.
For sure.
Thank you again for all your help. Guys, if you need information or you want to know more about Bare Knuckle, write me downstairs on the comments. I will contact you with Coach Brian. I like you know, all of you are welcome to come here to Chaos Zone, learn how to fight. And it's better to fight here and don't fight in the street, okay? All right, guys. See you soon. Thank you.
Gracias.
Gracias, papá.